audacity to try and explain how a period works.
Men having the audacity to explain periods to me, a person who's had periods since I was like 11. I've got two stories. First one. I was a young teenager, 14 maybe 14. Maybe 15. Anyway, I was at school and I have a genetic blood disorder that runs in my family, and it means that our periods, those of us who have them, are way heavier than a lot of other people's. So I was having to get up to go change my tampon more often and dealing with horrible cramps, the whole 9 yards. And this male teacher had the malacity, the absolute male audacity to tell me that if I drank less water, I wouldn't have to get up so often during class to go change my tampon, because then my bleeding wouldn't be so heavy. Yeah. It's not the same as having to pee. My bladder and my uterus are not the same fucking thing. Story number 2. The one long-term relationship I had with a man was abusive as hell, lasted for 8 years. But, once again, at this point I was on birth control, my periods had lessened, they were still not small periods, but they had lessened in intensity somewhat. And I remember him telling me that he had this one time with his ex-girlfriend where they had schmecks, and his game was so strong that while she was on her period, all of the blood just came out at once, and so she only bled the one day. So if I would just let him do what he did to her to me, he could shorten the length of my periods for me. Yeah. He just mixed everything up around in her uterus so much that all of the uterine lining came out at once. That's just, and I was like, that's not how periods work. And your thing is not reaching my uterus. Like, that's not, so those are my 2 favorite stories to tell people when it comes to males having the audacity to try to explain how periods work to me, a period haver of many years. God damn, I hate men sometimes. This is fucked. I can't, yeah.
Couple of things. Number 1, oh my god, I love this filter. Number 2, this is very fitting for the story that I am about to tell. I know you didn't personally ask me to tell this story, but I feel like it fits with the theme, so I'm gonna go ahead and tell it anyway. So, I was working at a call center for, it rhymes with Sheesh Mobile. So, yeah. Me and a couple of other, female presenting persons were called into the, he wasn't like the manager, but he was the manager over us. So I guess our supervisor, I don't remember what they called him. It was like a really specific name. But anyway, he deadass asked us if we could get together with all of our other female friends and like verbatim, I am quoting him, schedule your periods for another week. Now, what makes matters worse, like you would expect this out of somebody who's like in their 20s or something, like whatever, they're dumb, they're young, whatever. This man was dead ass in like his 60s. Dead ass in his 60s. And looked at all of us who were young enough to be his granddaughters and was like, can you not like schedule your your monthlies for a different week because like we've got a whole bunch of like new promotions coming out and we really need you guys to like be on top of the ball because you're some of our best, customer service representatives. I clocked out for the rest of the day like, sir, you cannot. Okay? Needless to say, a bunch of us actually quit and never went back after that. I actually had to go and look back through all of my stuff on LinkedIn. But yeah, he was 60, like 2-ish at the time, and had 3 grown daughters and a son, and had grandkids, but didn't know how the female body worked.
Audacity to try and explain how a period works.
Had a coworker tell me that I should be able to control my period and not be bleeding at work, and I should stop it to go to work because I'm in control of it.
Man had the audacity to try and explain how a
One other positive thing about my dad was he taught me how to remove bloodstains. Never occurred to me to ask him how he knew, but, technically cold water, toothbrush, and hydrogen peroxide usually does a trick. The special technique is a lot of elbow grease.
stitches at this point. Ladies, please tell me a time that a man...
Okay, so actually my father... No, of course he comes out on top on this one. I was actually a very late bloomer. I didn't start until I was 13. It was on a weekend. We were cleaning the car. I started having really bad cramps. The moment of event happens that all women find out that they finally hit puberty. Of course, after cleaning myself up, I tell my dad that I felt maybe I should lay down because I was feeling very overwhelmed from the moment, and he said, no, you can just walk it off. Having stomach cramps won't stop you from being able to do housework. It's actually better for you to be able to walk off your cramps. And then started years of unhealthy proportions of Advil to be able to suppress the pain that I would take per day.
Ladies, please tell me a time that a man had the audacity...
So the rest of his video is, a time when men had the audacity to tell you how the period worked or whatever. I was dating a guy and I took birth control pills, and so I still kept getting a period. And he was like, oh, I thought that was supposed to stop. Like, isn't birth control supposed to stop? You having a period? I don't like you when you're on your period. Like, yeah, if I didn't take this, it would be worse, sir. Fuck you very much. Yeah, needless to say, that relationship didn't last long.
Okay, ladies, nah, because some of y'all have been tagging me in stories and I just can't. So I need stitches.
Alright, my boy, I may not be a female, but I got a story to tell you. So, it's just me, my boy, his girlfriend, and her best friend. Now, I'm chilling on the couch playing video games. His girlfriend comes in with the best friend and be like, hey, we can't have no fun time tonight. I'm on my period. Now, he said, why are you lying? We know you can push that shit out by command. I looked at him sideways, bro. I told him, what the fuck are you talking about? He said that women can do it automatically, so it's bullshit. Even when I show him the facts and evidence, he still believes it's bullshit. I'm a guy and I literally just lost brain cells explaining this shit.
Got one for you. Picture this. It was the fall of 2012. I had just got back from a deployment and I was on CQ in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So meaning I could not leave this area. I was stuck there for 24 hours unless I went to get food, right? Dude comes in. I don't know if he lives in the barracks or he's a friend of somebody who lives in the barracks. And I'm like, I got cramps, whatever, because I have there's another woman with me on CQ. So we're talking, and he's like, sister, listen, you know what? Our people back in Africa didn't even have periods. It's because you eating the wrong foods. And I did not know what the term hotep was. All I knew was that I was like 27 or something years old, and somebody was telling me how a person who has never had a period in their life is telling me how our period is supposed to work. The part of my body that helps with the creation of humankind. He's telling me the thing I've experienced since I was 12 years old. He's telling me how my body's supposed to work with no degree in hand. Probably, and I ain't hating on high school or GED or anything like that, but this fool came all up in my mouth and decided to tell me how my period's supposed to work. And I told him, because I was a medic, I said, people who don't have their periods, women who don't have their periods, there's generally something going wrong. Okay, you do not have to use your body to have children, but if you do not have your period, there's either a malnutrition issue, the body's under stress, like when I was at basic training and didn't have one, or like gymnasts or athletes, stuff like that, or there is a physical issue as to why this is not happening, right? And he's like, no, 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 no. See, you need to do more research. And I was like, I am not only the research, I am the case study. Like, the fuck? Sorry, pardon my language, but yeah.
My God, like Jesus.
I'm gonna let him make the noises, but you want to know what a man tried to explain a period to me? I was teaching 7th grade math. Asked me why it came up in math. To this day, still don't understand it. I quit trying to understand 7th graders. I came around the corner and there were 3 boys sitting there talking about the period, and again, I've quit trying to understand 7th graders. So I asked them what they're talking about, and they begin to spit a whole bunch of nonsense that's not right. And I told them that they were wrong, that what the cycle actually was, and like where the blood was coming from, and what the purpose of the cycle was. And I had this kid interrupt me and was like, well, my dad says you're wrong. My dad says it's because somebody actually like is a sinful person. I called him Carrie and only one other person got it.
Had the audacity to try and explain how a period.
Oh, honey, I got a good one for you. I'm gonna make it short and sweet, okay? Because it was kind of a long story. So, this particular cycle landed me in the ER because my hemoglobin dropped from like a 8 to a 5. And 8 is already not the best, but 5 is really, really bad. So, my hemoglobin dropped because my period was that bad. I was bleeding that much, losing that much blood that it dropped. I already knew this. I understood it. The doctor comes in. He's like, oh, you're in a blood transfusion because your hemoglobin is so bad. And he was like, it's so bad because your period is so heavy. And you really need to do something about that. And then he went on to explain that my hemoglobin dropped because I was bleeding so much, because my period was so bad, and like did a whole like elementary type.
Okay, ladies, nah, because some of y'all have been tagging me in stories and I just can't. So I need stitches.
Okay, so when I was in my early 20s, for a hot minute, I had a gentleman for a gynecologist, which, I mean, like, it sounds like it might be appropriate for him to be telling me things about my reproductive organs, but it kind of went like this. I was wanting to switch birth controls. And I was thinking about the one where you only had 4 periods a year. And I had done a ton of research on it and a couple of other options. And so I asked him about it. And the way I was speaking, like, I felt, would, show him that I'm actually pretty darn informed. But oh my God, he honestly reminded me so much of the doctor from The Simpsons, good looking black gentleman that always was like, I shit you not. He like laughed sort of like that and then was like, oh, Lori, well, uteruses are quite complicated, but I assure you, if you don't have a period every month, your blood isn't going to get lost inside of you. Yeah, that was not my fucking question. Like, I was like talking about hormones and side effects, to which he did not speak at all. Like, I felt like I had shown up talking about quantum physics and he was like, oh, slow down. We need to talk about PEMDAS first. Like, I understand that some people who have uteruses don't know a ton about them. But again, like, I'm pretty sure the way I was talking, it was apparent that I did know a little something, and like where my blood goes was not the conversation or question I was asking at all. At all.
To try and explain how a period works to you.
So in Portugal you get a lot of sex education. Well, at least in my time you did. So in 9th grade you get it, and then in 10th grade or in 11th you get it again in junior year. So a guy tried to mansplain it to me, a girl that had periods since she was 11 and had 3 older sisters, and to the teacher, who was a woman on her 40s, periods. And a guy tried to mansplain it, periods, to us and to all the girls in the class. It was fun. It was a very fun experience, especially because he had it all wrong during class. He tried it during class. We were discussing endometriosis and what it was like having period pains during class, and what could we do, like going to the nurse and etc. And what meds do we have access to in school? Only over-the-counter ones. So he was trying to explain to us that it wasn't all that bad. Yeah.
Please tell me a time that a man had the audacity.
I mean, I've had a woman explain periods completely the wrong way. So let's go beyond that one. I had a man tell me that labor pains were not as excruciating as they actually are. And they told me that being torn down there, nothing, that you didn't feel anything, that was just, like a tiny little cut.
A man had the audacity to try and explain how
Okay, getting ready for work, so it's going to be quick. But I have been told many times that I can control it. I can control when it shows up, how long it will last, how heavy it is. I've been told to hold it in, like I have to pee. I've been told that when I was forced into certain situations, that it was because my body was ready. A whole bunch of others. You want more? Let me know.
Okay, ladies, nah, because some of y'all have been tagging me in stories and I just can't. So I need stitches.
So, my ex-husband once told me that periods aren't that bad. What's the big deal? My mom never talked about hers. Surely, the pain can't be like that. I never knew when my mom was on her period. Disregarding the fact that women just probably didn't talk about that then. But I ended up getting a hysterectomy due to mine and my chronic anemia and the overwhelming pain that I had at every period. But go ahead and tell me how they aren't that bad.
Audacity to try and explain how a period works.
Okay, so I am not ladies. That should be apparent by the all of me. But I have had this experience before, and let me tell you about it. So, I have, back when I started having periods in middle school, and I would try to excuse myself, a grown-ass cis man tried to tell me to hold it in. They think it works like urine. I mean, obviously not all of you are that dumb, but those that are, Please keep all of your opinions to yourself from here on out. You can't be dumb and opinionated. It doesn't work that way.
So this is actually a different kind of story. I met a real creeper who was really into periods, let's say. I was at a Renaissance fair, and it was, I was in full garb. I was walking up to one of the eating places, and this guy walks up to me. And I was on my period at the time. I had a really, really mean looking face. I was tired. It was hot and I just wanted some food. And he walks up to me and goes, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, it's that time of the month. I'm sorry. I know I look very angry." And he goes, "Oh, would you mind if I had some of your used stuff? I like to make tea out of it. You see, I'm a vampire." I didn't take that very well. I told him to get the fuck away from me, or I had a knife on me at the time. I was like, "Or I will use this knife on you. Like, I swear to God, get away from me. Don't you ever speak to me again." And I actually got him kicked off the property for that, because that was just like, nope, there are kids here. This is a family event. Like, no, you don't go up to people and say that.